Next page, 79. This is when I'm going to go buy it from the owner with seller financing, and the terms suck, but I intend to assign my contract to an owner-occupant that wants to buy it with owner financing. I need a purchase and sale agreement, an authorization to release, and the CYA letter signed. And then I'm going to do nothing but have the attorney do an assignment of contract and a general release. I still like them general releases. And you will too when we read it. My attorney wrote it. And you can tell an attorney wrote this one. General release means what to you? It means if something goes wrong, don't call me, because you have released me from all liability for any future action. All right. Before I go any further, is there any questions on this section right now before we get into the actual agreements? I will need a microphone. All right. Oh, right here first.
Ron, on the options, I'm just wondering, can you do this? Could you take a property, let's say under option for $500,000, and you want to sell it for $600,000? There's some services that allow you to list a property under the MLS at a flat fee. Could you list it on the MLS for a flat fee for $600,000 and just pay the buyer's agent a commission and you make the spread?
I could if I have the seller's permission.
Okay.
In writing.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And most realtors aren't smart enough to even check the title and know what's going on anyway.
Is that a smart, is that a good idea?
Well, I don't know. It's going to come with complications. Sooner or later, the realtor is going to be privy to what's going on. And not that they should care. With the seller's cooperation, there's nobody to complain. But then I guess you're going to pay a commission. If that's okay with you, it's okay with the seller, it's okay with the realtor. I don't see any problem with it, but I think I'd first try to sell it myself.
You keep saying using an attorney. Would you prefer an attorney or one with a title that's connected to a title agency? I'm in the state of Florida.
I didn't understand what you said. With your voice, you got to hold that mic away from you a little bit. Okay. Are you a radio voice or what? Huh? Should this guy be doing commercials or what? All right.
You keep saying use closing with an attorney. Is this better?
Yes.
Would it be better to use a title agency with an attorney, or just strictly only use a real estate attorney to do these deals?
I'm okay with you using a title agency with an attorney as long as it's clear that the attorney within the agency is representing you, not the agency, and that may or may not be possible. As long as the attorney is representing you, I don't care where they work.
All right, so it's definitely a real estate attorney.
Yes, definitely a real estate attorney. Best not to get a divorce attorney to do real estate stuff, or you might need a divorce attorney before it's over. Luke.
Thank you. Ron, when buying, on the X and on the lease option, either of those, any of those documents you get signed in the house, or
Yes.
are they all?
Yes. Okay, Lou, let's go back, because that's a good question. I thought I was clear on that, but apparently I was not.
Well, with the X, I was under the impression that you don't get that document signed until you have a buyer.
No, that's exactly the opposite of the reality. Guys, let me say it again. You do not solicit for buyers until you have an agreement with the seller signed by the seller. If you do, you're practicing real estate without a license. Okay? I want the lease option agreement signed by the seller in the seller's home, whether it's an AX or whether it's a sandwich lease. I want the purchase and sale agreement signed by the seller if it's a property that I am buying or that I am agreeing to buy that I intend to assign. On the buying side, it's signed by the seller in the seller's house. On the selling side, it's signed in front of an attorney, but remember, the attorney is to contact the seller, make sure everybody's clear, make sure all the documentation is in place, and the seller is acknowledging such. Now, why am I insisting that you do that? Because if you ever do have a problem, I want the attorney to be able to testify. Your Honor, I contacted the seller myself. I acknowledged that they signed everything, and at that point, they were in full agreement with everything we were doing, as evidenced by what they signed. And you know what? When the judge hears that, what do you think's happening in his mind? Could we please get this over so I could get the heck out of here and get back to my television show? I mean, this case is won. This case is done. But out of politeness, he'll sit there and listen to everybody. You have a question? Over here? Any back there first? All right. Go.
Going back to the gentleman back here who asked you a question about the title company and the attorney. If the attorney happens to own the title company,
I
and
don't
it's someone
care.
that is a personal friend, what do you do?
Nothing, as long as it's clear they're representing me. And
Even though they own their own title company?
I don't care if they own the title
Okay.
company.
All right.
I don't care. That don't make any difference. As long as they're representing you, they have a fiduciary responsibility to represent you. Now, it wouldn't hurt for you to get that in writing that they are representing you.
In that one-off?
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, you know what? A lot of this is your gut. It's your gut. If you think you're dealing with the right people, you probably are. If they look like the right people, but you think you're dealing with the wrong people, you probably are. In fact, I was just listening to Jack Welch, his ex-CEO, coming in here today and listening to his CDs. That's exactly what he said. He says, sometimes everything looks right, but your gut tells you no. Trust your gut. Yes. Especially if the gut is from a female. They have this intuition that is just uncanny. I mean, that's absolutely uncanny. And my wife, every time my wife has ever told me not to deal with somebody, I told her she was full of crap, and guess what happened? She was right. So now, if I expose her to these somebodies before I deal with them, she says, don't deal with them. At least I know what's going to happen before I deal with them. Yes.
Okay, you were saying don't solicit buyers until we sign the document
Correct.
for the seller. But isn't that kind of what we're doing if we have a website collecting a list?
No, I'm not soliciting buyers for that particular seller, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
You don't
All
go
right, so we can have a
advertising
list.
that house that you do not have under control. Oh, yeah, you can advertise for buyers till the cows come home, but not particularly. I don't want it to appear that you're selling that house for that person for a fee.
Gotcha, okay.
When you get it under contract, you're selling it for you, and you're not collecting anything from the seller. Right here.
Ron, when you're doing an axe deal, you negotiate, the payments don't start 3 months out? And why,
No.
if you do? No.
In an axe deal, I only take the first payment. John, what do you guys do? Because you're
It's
allowed to do
irrelevant.
whatever you want to do, but don't get crazy here. Remember, pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered.
I've been told by you to take one payment, and so far I still haven't.
That's what you do?
No, we're not.
Huh?
We're not taking any payments.
Well, remember, though, that the buyer does have to bring the first month's rent
Right.
to closing.
Right.
You know, I'm taking it just to have to keep the attorney from having to send the money two different directions.
You're just such a nice guy.
That's my story.
You're just such a nice guy.
Okay. No, I don't have any problem. I'll tell you, we've not had the least bit of resistance collecting the first month's rent because it's done right there. And the sellers just don't seem to have a problem with only waiting a month after we find the buyer. Remember, we're finding the buyer within a week or two or three, usually, and they just don't have a problem with it.
Right.
So, and we're collecting the money from the buyer, we're not collecting it from the seller. So we're going to continue to do it. You do it the way you want to do it. All right, that it?